Hi everyone, we are doing lesson 4 today, negative exponents. Okay, so let's get started. The concept of negative exponents is really simple actually. There's just one rule. So all a negative exponent means is you're going to do the opposite of what you would do if you had a positive exponent. So let's just look at an example. Let's say we had the number 2 to the power of 3. So what 2 to the power of 3 means would be you would multiply 3 2's together, right? And you would get 8, right? So the number 3 just means multiply 3 2's. So if we have 2 to the power of negative 3, it means do the opposite of multiply 3 times. So the opposite of multiplying is actually dividing. And so if we wanted to divide by 2 3 times, we're just going to take the reciprocal and we're going to do 1 half times 1 half times 1 half, and we will get 1 over 8. So notice that the answer is not negative actually. So that's one of the most common mistakes people make is they see that negative sign and they think, oh, my answer is going to be negative. But actually negatives in math often just mean do the opposite thing. So here 2 to the 3 means multiply 3 times. 2 to the power of negative 3 just means divide by 2 3 times. So our answers here, we call them reciprocals, because they're kind of just flipped versions of each other. I'm just realizing here you can't see that whole word. There we go. Okay, so let's do some examples. Okay, let's start off here. And we're not going to use a calculator for any of these, but of course you could check with a calculator to make sure these are accurate. Okay, 10 to the power of negative 4. So what that actually means is we're going to flip it, okay, and multiply 4 times. So it's going to be 1 over 10 times 1 over 10 times 1 over 10 times 1 over 10. Now you don't need to write out the 4 1/10ths. You can just write the answer if you want. So this would be 1 over 10,000. Okay, so 10 to the power of 4 would be 10,000. 10 to the power of negative 4 is just 1 over 10,000. They are reciprocals of each other. Okay, let's do this one. So one way that I find students like to do these is just remember that you just flip the number and then evaluate. So here we'll just flip it to 1 over negative 5, and then it's going to be to the power of 2. So we'll multiply it twice. So it's 1 over negative 5 times 1 over negative 5, which is 1 over 25. Okay. The answer is positive here because when you multiply two negatives together, you get a positive. Okay, let's look at this one. This one's a fraction, but the rule's still the same. We flip and multiply. So when you divide by negative 3 over 4, it actually becomes negative 4 over 3. And we're going to do it 3 times. So 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. And 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. The answer here is negative because our base was negative, and when you multiply 3 negatives together, the negatives do not cancel. So we do have that negative in our final answer. Whereas here, we did have negatives in the base, but there was multiplying twice, which did cancel out those negatives, and so our answer was positive. Okay. The negative sign in both of those had nothing to do with the negative exponent. Okay, last question here. Anytime we see a decimal in this chapter, I've said it in the last lesson too, we're going to switch it to a fraction because it's much easier to flip the number that way. Okay, so 0.7 is the same as 7 over 10. And so we're going to flip it. So it'd be like having 10 over 7 to the power of 2. And then we will evaluate. So 10 times 10 is 100. And 7 times 7 is 49. And you can just leave that final answer as a fraction, no problem. Leave it like that. Okay, so there we go. There's negative exponents. We are going to do 3 more examples, and we're going to combine this lesson with the previous lesson and do some negative exponents that are fractions as well. Okay, let's try the first one. Oops. Okay, 8 to the power of negative 2/3. So first let's deal with that negative sign. We are going to flip the number. Flip the base. Okay, so it'd be 1 over 8 to the power of 2/3. Once you flip the base, you can remove that negative sign. Okay, now we are going to convert to a radical. Okay, so remember the root goes at the root and the power goes up top. The bottom goes to the root and the power goes up top. So we'll have the cube root of 1/8 all to the power of 2. Cube root all to the power of 2. Okay, the cube root of 1/8 is 1/2, because 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And then we still have to square that with that power of 2, and that is 1/4. There's our final answer. Okay, let's try one more time. So for all three of these, we're going to flip and then convert. And then I'll just put, and then I guess evaluate. Okay, so flip, convert, and then evaluate. All right, so first we'll flip to get rid of that negative exponent. And you want to flip the base. The one mistake students make a lot is they flip the exponent and the base. They start flipping all the fractions. You just want to flip the base, because the rule is you want to divide instead of multiply. So the base gets flipped only. So 81/16. And then you can remove that negative sign on the exponent now. Now this goes up top to the power. This goes down to the index. So this becomes the 4th root of 81/16 all to the power of 3. So far I've flipped. Now I've converted it. Now I'm going to answer the question, evaluate. I'll just do eval for short. Okay, so 4th root of 81. So 3 numbers that multiply to make 81 is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Sorry, 4 numbers that multiply to 81 are 3. And then the 4th root of 16 is 2. And now we still have to do the power of 3 part. So it's going to be 27/8. Okay, flip, convert, and then evaluate. All right, last one. We are going to change these to fractions first. 0.49, since there's 2 numbers after the decimal, is 49/100 with 2 zeros. Okay, and we've done 1.5 before. 1.5 is the same as 1.5, and that's the same as 3/2. So this is going to be 49/100 to the power of negative 3/2. So we're going to do the same process here. We're going to flip it, we are going to convert it, and then we're going to evaluate. If you want to try this one on your own, you can from here, and then come back and check. So first we'll flip it, so it becomes 100/49. Remember, don't flip the exponent, flip the base. Now we're going to convert it to a square root. So the index is the root, and then the power goes up top. And now we're going to answer it. So the square root of 100 is 10, square root of 49 is 7, and we still have to do this power of 3. And that final answer there would be 1,000 over, and if you multiply 7 3 times, it's 343. I'm just going to double check that's true, because I don't want to say the wrong thing here. Okay, 7 times 7 times 7. Yeah, okay, that's right. There we go. Okay, great. Last question, word problem. So here it says, suppose you want to invest some money in a special bank account that gives you 20% interest annually. To end up with $10,000 after 2 years, you need to solve this equation, where A is the amount you need to invest today. Solve this equation to determine how much you need to invest. Okay, so we want to end up with $10,000. How much do we have to put away in the special bank account? Okay, let's check. So $10,000 times 1.2 to the power of negative 2. Now, what I said above there, I'm going to repeat again. Any decimals, you want to change them to fractions. So 1.2 is 1 2/10, right? So we can convert this. This would be 12 over 10, or if you reduce that, that's 6 over 5. So I'm going to change that number in here to a fraction, which is 6 over 5. So let's do that. And you do have to follow BEDMAS when you do this question. So you do have to evaluate the exponent first. I'm going to write BEDMAS on the side here. So we're going to do the exponent first, then the multiplication. Okay, so we'll do the exponent. It is negative, so what that means is we've got to flip the base. So it becomes 5 over 6 to the power of 2. Now we're going to evaluate it. So this is 10,000 times 25 over 36. And now we're just going to type that into our calculator to see what we get. So 10,000 times 25 divided by 36 is $6,944.44. We do have to round that number, but with money, we'll just always round to 2 decimal places there. I'll put a little non-equal sign because we did round that off. Okay, so you'd have to invest $6,944.44 today if you want to end up with $10,000 at the end. All right, that is the end of the lesson.